You're not my daughter anymore. My mother shouted across the restaurant, loud enough for every guest to hear. My birthday cake sat untouched as my sister smiled. I looked at the stranger standing beside the entrance holding a leather briefcase, and something told me this day wasn't ending the way anyone expected. My name is Rachel Collins, and I'm 36 years old. I work as a physical therapist in a small rehabilitation clinic outside Columbus, Ohio. My job isn't glamorous, but I love helping people walk again after injuries or surgeries. Every day I watch people fight through pain, and maybe that's why I kept believing families could heal too. Mine never did. I grew up feeling like I had to earn every smile from my parents. My younger sister, Olivia, always seemed to receive praise without trying. If she forgot a birthday, everyone laughed. If I arrived 5 minutes late, I was called irresponsible. It wasn't one terrible moment that hurt me. It was thousands of little moments collected over decades. Grandma Evelyn noticed. She'd squeeze my hand during family dinners and whisper, "Kindness always leaves footprints, sweetheart." Those words stayed with me. I wasn't rich or glamorous, but I had something they didn't expect. I had patience, I had integrity, and I remembered everything. The celebration that changed my life was supposed to honor my mother's 60th birthday. She insisted she wanted the entire family together. I volunteered to organize the restaurant reservation, decorate the private room, and even pay for most of the dinner after Olivia claimed money was tight. I believed maybe this time things would be different. Maybe birthdays could become new beginnings. If you've ever felt like your family overlooked everything good you tried to do, I hope you'll stay with me. Subscribe if stories like mine remind you that you're not alone. Share your own experience in the comments because I'd truly like to hear it. And if you enjoy stories about ordinary people finding unexpected strength, don't forget to click hype before we continue. The restaurant smelled of fresh bread, roasted garlic, and warm butter when I arrived early carrying flowers and balloons. Soft music floated through the dining room while employees finished setting our long table. Everything looked perfect. Guests began arriving one by one. Aunt Rachel, my nephew, called, hugging me. "You did all this?" my cousin Denise asked. "I just wanted Mom to have a nice day," I answered. Olivia walked in nearly 40 minutes late wearing an expensive dress she'd probably tell everyone was on sale. "There she is," Mom said, rushing to hug her. Nobody noticed I'd been standing beside them the whole time. Dinner started pleasantly enough. People laughed. Stories were shared. For one short hour, I convinced myself I had imagined years of rejection. Then Mom stood and tapped her glass. "I have something important to say." The room became quiet. She looked directly at me. "Rachel, before dessert comes, everyone deserves to know the truth." I frowned. "What truth?" "You've disappointed this family long enough." The words hit harder than I expected. Several relatives exchanged confused looks. "I don't understand," I said softly. Mom folded her arms. "You refused to help your sister when she needed you." "I couldn't afford another loan." "It wasn't a loan," Olivia interrupted. "It was family. I already helped 3 times." Dad stared at his plate without saying a word. That silence hurt even more. Mom pointed toward the door. "If you can't support this family, then you aren't part of it anymore." The room froze. Someone dropped a fork. I searched every familiar face hoping someone would speak. Nobody did. Even people who knew I'd paid for almost everything tonight stayed quiet. "I planned this party," I whispered. So Olivia shrugged. "I bought the decorations." "Nobody asked you to." My chest tightened. "I paid for dinner too." Mom laughed. "Consider it your goodbye gift." The sound of the air conditioner suddenly felt louder than every voice around me. I slowly pushed my chair back. "So that's it?" Mom nodded. "You're not my daughter anymore." Olivia lifted her glass. Finally, a few people looked embarrassed. Others avoided my eyes completely. I picked up my purse. "I'm leaving." "Good," Mom replied. I took only a few steps before the restaurant manager hurried inside, followed by an older man carrying a worn leather briefcase. "Excuse me," the manager said politely. "Is the Collins family gathered here?" Dad answered. "Yes." The stranger adjusted his glasses. "My name is Harold Bennett." Nobody recognized him except me. He had handled Grandma Evelyn's legal papers for years. "I apologize for interrupting," he said calmly, "but your late grandmother left strict written instructions. She required me to deliver something to this family today, immediately after Margaret Collins celebrated her 60th birthday." Mom's confident smile disappeared. Harold looked around the silent room. "I'll need everyone to remain seated." Then he placed a thick sealed envelope on the table directly in front of my mother. Nobody spoke. For the first time that evening, I saw fear replace certainty in my mother's eyes. Harold rested one hand on the envelope but didn't open it right away. The room stayed silent except for the soft clink of dishes being cleared from nearby tables. Even the restaurant staff seemed to sense that something important was happening. My mother forced a smile. "Can't this wait until next week?" Harold shook his head. "I'm afraid it cannot. Mrs. Evelyn Collins left very specific instructions. She wrote that these documents must be presented on your 60th birthday, with as many family members present as possible." Olivia crossed her arms. "This is ridiculous." Harold looked at her without changing his calm expression. "Your grandmother rarely did anything without a reason." I remained near the doorway, unsure whether to stay or leave. Harold noticed me. "Rachel, your grandmother also requested that you remain." That single sentence changed everything. For years I had been the one asked to leave. This time, someone wanted me to stay. I quietly returned to my seat. Mom looked irritated. "Fine. Let's get this over with." Harold opened the envelope and removed several folders tied with blue ribbon. "These are not the will," he explained. "The will has already been executed. These documents explain why certain decisions were made." The room became even quieter. Olivia leaned toward Mom and whispered, "Grandma always liked making things dramatic." I almost smiled. No. Grandma hated drama. She hated lies even more. Harold unfolded the first letter. This statement was written in Mrs. Collins's own handwriting. He began reading. "If you're hearing these words, I suspect Rachel has once again been treated unfairly. I pray I'm wrong, but experience tells me otherwise." My mother shifted in her chair. Harold continued. "For years, I watched my family judge the kindest person among them while rewarding selfishness. I remained quiet longer than I should have. That is my greatest regret." Nobody interrupted. Dad lowered his head. Harold set the letter aside. "There is more." He opened another folder. "This contains financial records collected over 6 years." Olivia laughed nervously. "So?" Harold ignored her. "The records show that Mrs. Collins gave Rachel several personal gifts intended only for her." Mom answered quickly. "Rachel received plenty." Harold looked directly at her. "According to these bank records, she did not." My heart skipped. I had never known Grandma kept copies. Harold spread several papers across the table. Mrs. Collins transferred money to Margaret Collins on multiple occasions, with written instructions stating the funds were to be delivered to Rachel. Mom's face turned pale. I don't remember that. Harold calmly picked up another document. Fortunately, written instructions have excellent memories. A few relatives exchanged uncomfortable glances. Harold continued. There were 7 separate transfers. He listed each date, each amount, every handwritten note. I remembered Grandma mentioning birthday gifts that never arrived, holiday money that somehow disappeared, small inheritances from distant relatives. I had always assumed she forgot. She hadn't. Someone else had decided I didn't deserve them. Olivia suddenly stood. This proves nothing. Harold calmly handed copies to several relatives. It proves quite a lot. The room filled with the sound of paper turning. No one spoke. Then Aunt Denise looked up. Margaret, these are your signatures. Mom opened her mouth. Nothing came out. Harold reached for another folder. I believe this belongs to Rachel. He slid it toward me. Inside were birthday cards Grandma had written over many years. Cards I had never received. Some still contained checks that had never been cashed because they had never reached me. My hands trembled. One card read, "Never let anyone convince you that kindness is weakness. One day, the truth always finds the light." Tears blurred the ink. I swallowed hard. I never knew. Harold nodded gently. Your grandmother suspected that. Olivia slammed both hands on the table. This is ancient history. No, Harold replied. This is documented history. Mom finally found her voice. I was protecting the family by keeping Rachel's gifts. We needed the money. Dad quietly whispered. Margaret. She turned toward him. Don't start. He sighed deeply. I told you this would catch up to us. The entire table stared at him. You knew? Aunt Denise asked. Dad closed his eyes. I knew some of it. The admission hit me harder than anything else. My father had known. Maybe not everything, but enough. For years, I blamed myself. I worked overtime, skipped vacations, lived in a small apartment, wondered why Grandma slowly stopped sending birthday cards. She never stopped. They stopped them. I took a slow breath. Oddly, I wasn't angry anymore. I was finished being confused. finished wondering if I had imagined the difference in how we were treated. Now I knew. The sound of the wall clock near the restaurant entrance ticked steadily through the silence. Each second felt heavier than the last. Harold carefully gathered the papers. We are only halfway through. Mom looked exhausted. There are more. There are. He reached into his briefcase one last time. This final collection contains something Mrs. Collins instructed me to keep sealed until today. Olivia forced another smile. I'm sure it's another lecture. Harold didn't answer. Instead, he placed a thick brown file in the center of the table. Across the front, written in Grandma Evelyn's unmistakable handwriting, were 6 words that made every person in the room stop breathing.